The sweetest D&D player's love for fantasy is almost ruined by a Karen. Hi everyone, All Things D&D is back with another story. Try not to say "daw" while you listen to this adorable D&D story. And then, try not to get mad at overbearing crazy Karens. I come to regale you with a story of hopefully, daw, a story of my little daughter and her fairy tale hero. It started off about midsummer, my daughter being 4 going on 5 and about to enter kindergarten. She had taken a liking to fantasy tales, heroes and knights, princesses and villains. Normally I'd sing her a lullaby or some such. Being a fan of TGs, I was more than happy to oblige my daughter with some stories. Then one night, it all changed. I had decided to tell her the story of a young squire called Thomas, based on a fighter I'd played once, and she stopped me and asked a question. At the time, Thomas was on a quest to escort a lost peasant girl back home, and was about to charge headfirst to fight some bugbears. "Dad, why doesn't Thomas avoid the bugbears? He might put the girl in danger, and you said he wasn't stupid too." Any of my daughter's quotes will be paraphrased somewhat. I paused and thought. I couldn't tell her the actual answer, being that the fighter had a diplomacy and sneak skill worth nothing, so I'd asked her what Thomas should do. And this is how we started her new bedtime stories. Choose your own adventure stories. From then on, she decided what Thomas did. From taking only a kiss from the maiden instead of gold, I couldn't convince her to take both. Switching out his sword for a club to fight the woodland animals like wolves. After all, they didn't know better. She thought it was wrong to kill them. Together, we finished the tale of Thomas. I decided to start up another story right away. We were both having too much fun for this to end, but who would be the hero? Naturally, being D&D, along with a choose your adventure, I had her choose. At first, I had her pick from some heroes I would make up. A stealthy Robin Hood-like rogue, a knight in shining armor, a young handsome wizard, or the crazed but kind-hearted barbarian. Many great and fun tales we had, exploring huge caverns, forgotten tombs and temples, even saving cities and damsels along the way. All along, my daughter telling more and more of the story herself. Now, this would be around mid-September. After many tales, my daughter would ask me questions about wizards or monsters and such, and one day she asked me about bards. "Daddy, what are bards? You say they do magic, but then they just tell stories or sing. Are they adventurers too?" So I explained, yes, they are. They're adventurers who seek out old stories to tell people, and who make new ones along the way. They make magic with music and tales. Their songs enchant people. They can make them dance or sleep or obey their words. She seemed to like the idea, asking more and more questions. By this point, I'm already planning on getting her into these games when she's a little older. I can see her playing bards now. Now, a few days later, when she had decided Thog, she really likes the name Thog for any big man in these stories, the berserker, had enough fun for a day and needed rest at the tavern. She asked me again about bards. She asked if the bard playing at the tavern that night had any children. Not wanting to go anywhere near the traditional answer for if a bard had any kids, I told her yes, and that his son and wife were upstairs, and traveling with the bard on his journey. She seemed to fall in love with the idea of the bard and his family out on adventures. Flash forward to last week, and we're wrapping up Thog's tale. She asked me if the next hero could be a bard. I was about to say no, so the plan was set. I just need to think up a few starting quests and a little bit of character for the bard to get her started. That story started tonight, but what happened today is what nearly made me cry. My daughter's in kindergarten. The class had plenty of little shows or activities they would invite parents in to watch, and today was one such day. They had apparently been working on a little project as a surprise for the parents. The children had to make a little essay on what their parents did for a living, and the parents got invited in to see just how close, or normally how far off they were. My little girl started to read her essay, and this is how it went. "My daddy's job is very special. My daddy's a hero. Whenever I need anything, my daddy's there for me. And if ever I'm hurt or lonely or sad, my dad comes to my rescue. But he's not just any hero. He's a bard. My dad can tell all kinds of stories, of big strong knights and smart magic men, and he can sing songs and play instruments too. Before I was sad when my dad had to go away on trips, but now I'm excited because he was going on adventures, to help other people and tell stories there too. I love my daddy. My daddy is my hero. To my little girl, I was a bard. I told stories, I sang, I was magic, I was her hero. I left her to go on adventures and came back with more tales. Seeing my girl that excited and hearing her say this, I couldn't be happier. Then tonight, as I started the story, she asked me a question. Could the bard have a family too? Could he have his wife and their daughter be on the adventures too? I called my wife into the room, and we started our adventure together. While that story was sweet, and my wife is generally very understanding of the adventures Kat and I go on, but sometimes a child's imagination can get them into trouble, and me in trouble. So this was a tale I was not there for. Unfortunately, my wife had to explain to me what happened, along with a lot of blame, and explaining the boundaries to my daughter about real life and my silly fantasy worlds. She was a wee bit mad. Before the tale, some geography first. Near my neighbor, there's a small forest with a nice creek running through. This was a setting for many tales I told her, and became a wonderful, magical place to her, which were no more than 50 feet from her house. One day last August, Kat asked my wife if she could go out to the woods to play with her friends Rick and Amber. Now, normally, I say an adult must be with them out there for them to play. So either my wife made an exception, or they said one of the other kids' parents was going with them. They lied. So off the three go to have a day of fun in the woods playing at being heroes. For that day's adventure, Catelyn had decided that a princess had become lost in the woods and needed a group of brave, albeit small heroes to save her. So off they went past thickets of trees, over mountains, boulders in the woods, through a raging river, a little creek, all in hopes of finding the lost girl. Then suddenly Rick had a flash of insight. If the princess was lost and scared, she'd be hiding. So they wouldn't see her. They need to call out to her to get her out of hiding. So after a few moments of arguing to decide what her name would be, they settled on Lisa. They began to call, "Lisa, we're here to find you. Lisa, where are you? Lisa." As they wandered the woods, they drew close to the backyards of other homes as well. Homes where housewives were relaxing in their backyards. Hearing a shrill child's cry, one such wife came out to see what the issue was. Now, Catelyn was a serious role player. She dared not to break character, and since she did not, neither did Amber or Rick. So they told the lady of their quest to find the lost girl Lisa in the woods. Now, this worried the housewife greatly. A girl was lost in the woods. So she called her neighbors. She needed help in the search, and she called her neighbor and so on and so forth. Eventually, my wife was called. She believed Lisa was a new friend of Kat. So when I returned home to a very worried wife, telling me about Kat's lost friend and all the people in the woods calling out for poor little Lisa, I found Kat watching TV in the living room. I asked what had happened to her friend Lisa, and she says to me, "Who's Lisa?" "Oh, Lisa, the princess who got lost. We were going to finish the adventure tomorrow, Daddy. What's for dinner?" So after a little more talking with her, I had the unfortunate task of going out and explaining to all the people searching what had happened. It took roughly an hour and a half to round up all the people out searching for the imaginary Lisa. Then I had to explain this was all a child's game. The mob was not happy. Now, while they decided to begin slinging insults concerning my parenting skills, Kat decided to come out and see what was happening. She did not like what she heard. She came up and grabbed my hand and asked what was wrong. A mother in the crowd decided to yell at her. You should be ashamed, lying to all of us about a lost girl. That's no joke." This is when Kat started to cry. This is what Kat spoke through tears. "I'm so sorry. I just thought she wanted to play with us. I thought she was calling more friends. Daddy plays with me all the time, and she never said anything to me. She just ran right off to get her friends and didn't even ask what we were playing." At this point, more than a few faces in the little mob seemed ashamed. They did just make a little girl cry. While it did take some more talking and a teary promise from Kat to say it's a game next time, they did leave without incident. Once we were inside, I noticed Kat had stopped crying rather quickly. "Daddy, when a hero lies to do good, it's okay, right?" I let her know that lying is wrong, and heroes should avoid lying even if it is for good. She still has an amazing imagination, and we continue our adventures together. From Daw to hating Karens, sharing stories with our kids is wonderful, but teaching them boundaries is important. Adventure safely. Please let us know what you think and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Our next video will be posted in 3 days, so stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.